This is the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Coming up,
Chinese guests will consume nearly 7 meals a day on average during a cruise.
The security on those ships running by Israel is managed and helping us to put extra confidence in our guests.
And only half the duo turned up. It was meant to be a man and woman. If he was dressed, he might have had half a chance.
So sit back and enjoy the trip with Mark Gordon and David Harris.
I am sailing.
No.
I am sailing. Have we started yet?
You did this 2 years ago at the start of a cruising special?
Oh, sorry.
I can't remember if I kept it in or edited it out.
I think both our listeners will have forgotten that by now.
Oh, we got fan mail this week.
We did. And we've got a studio audience.
We do. Very, very delighted to welcome somebody all the way from the northeast of England who has joined us here in Israel. By the way, if you do want to send us fan mail or questions or anything like that, you can do so at our email, markdavidpod@gmail.com, and you can also follow us at markdavidpod across social media.
And if you want to join us in our studio audience, you have to be related to one of us.
Or drop us a line and we'll consider it. Or you can host us.
Oh, yes.
You could fly us out to your abode, invite us for a meal, and we will regale you with stories for a couple of hours. You don't know what to say now, do
No,
you?
I'm just trying to think where I want to go now. I'm trying to think who I know somewhere nice that can host us.
It's going to be someone we know, otherwise it could be a very scary experience for them.
I don't know, for the past 5 years we've been going all sorts of places with people we don't know.
This is our annual cruising special, number 4. This time, we are going to welcome an old friend back onto the podcast in the form of Ben Boldin, who's actually had a name change to Benjamin Boldin.
And have you ever wondered what it's like living on a ship and working on a ship? We find out with our guest from Jobs on a Ship, Steve Weller.
And we'll start all of it off with something a little bit closer to home, and we'll be having a kind of celebrity celebration. Mark, before we get going, quiz question.
Oh, I've got a good one. Who is Thomas Mapother IV?
Is he from Texas?
I don't know, actually. I'll ask Google.
The answer at the end of the pod.
This is Mark Gordon from the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
That soup was really nice, David.
You're very welcome. Did you figure out the flavour?
I thought it was mushroom, but apparently it's not mushroom.
It was eggplant.
Aubergine.
One or the other, yeah. I can't even remember where I got the recipe from, but I think I just had a batch of mouldy eggplants, which you just consumed. I zhuzhed them with probably with coconut cream. Anyway, this is not a cooking show.
You know, when you gave it to me, you left out that word mouldy.
Funnily enough. Well, it's hard to tell with an aubergine because they're such a strange colour to begin with. Okay, here's one. If you know the answer, please email us, markdavidpod@gmail.com. I really struggle cooking the skins of eggplants. If you've got the perfect solution, both boiling and frying and roasting, etc., please email us.
Talking of high-end cuisine, we've featured a number of wonderful cruise lines in our podcast over the last 4 years.
Some of which we've sailed on.
Yes, only once, because once they meet us, they never invite us back. But one cruise line we've been talking to for 3 or 4 years, and they have a wonderful person we talk to, and always ended up talking about football, is Celebrity Cruises.
But what they did tell us is talk to Udi. So Udi, it's not a very celebrity name. They said, that's our Israeli representative.
We had the opportunity to speak to the CEO of Sonorama, whose name you may have heard when we've been talking about Royal Caribbean as well, Udi Schnabel.
Sonorama is a tourist company which established 50 years ago. In the last 25 years plus, we are the international representative of Royal Caribbean Group in Israel, which is saying that we are the representative of Royal Caribbean, Celebrity Cruises, Silver Sea, which is the ultra luxury in the brand. On top of that, we are also representing Israel Oceania Cruises, and Ponant, which is a French yacht company, which also can be described as an ultra-luxury cruise vacation.
We're going to talk specifically about one of those companies, Celebrity. This is the first time we've spoken about Celebrity on our cruise special. Who are Celebrity Cruises?
Celebrity is our premium brand, which are focused more on young couples who are looking for a more quiet vacation, if you can say something more subtle, with less kids and noise, and adults above 55 years old. Celebrity is also addressing people who appreciate design, food, and in general, more exclusive experience, but still wants the big ship that Celebrity has to offer.
So let's go into that in a little bit more detail. You talked about the food, you've talked about the age group. How do people see that difference on board the ship? For example, in entertainment or maybe in the menu. What makes Celebrity that bit different?
When you are going into the new ships of the Edge class, which is the latest generation of our class in Celebrity, you will feel like you are just entered the most design hotel in New York. You will want any furniture and every design aspect. You will take a picture of that. So they really invest in design, in modern luxury experience. I think really the design is probably the most important aspect in Celebrity. And second of that would be, of course, the culinary aspect. The food is quite different from what you are getting in Royal Caribbean, for example. The dishes is more premium, small dishes. And with that, you can still go to the buffet that on every ships and company you have. But the buffet on Celebrity is top level, top notch in terms of design, in terms of quality of the food. Another aspect of Celebrity, they are putting on top of what they are doing, the sustainability. They are in the new ships eliminated single use of plastic and investing in new technology to reduce the environmental impact. So I think those are the key pillars that put Celebrity in a different perspective from their competition.
When I think of cruising, especially cruising from Israel, I think of the Mediterranean and I think of the Caribbean. Does Celebrity go beyond there? Are there some exciting, maybe unique destinations that Celebrity go to?
With the big ships, we are going around the world. So, of course, the main destination would be Caribbean, going from the US, especially Florida, going from Fort Lauderdale and Miami, going to Alaska from Vancouver and Seattle, going from New York to Canada and New England. One of the interesting destinations that are separate us from the other is that we are going to Galapagos. Galapagos, as you know, is a unique geographical destination in South America, and you need to go there with very specific ships that allowing to go into those reserves. And Celebrity is operating, I think, today 3 very small vessels up to 100 guests. We are talking about specific destinations. This will be the number one destination for Celebrity. Other than that, if we want to be specific on our Israeli guests, most of them are interested in going to Australia and New Zealand, going to the Far East. And of course, as you said, we have a destination on the Med going from Barcelona and Rome, etc.
Just assume I've never been cruising before and I want to try cruising out. Is Celebrity a good place to try a small cruise and sample cruising?
Celebrity is a great option both to first-time cruisers or experienced travelers. Celebrity cruises offer a variety of itineraries and experience that I think appeal to a wide range of interest and guests.
It's been, to say the least, a tough year and a half for Israelis. Many people choosing, at least in the initial period, not to travel at all. It's also, of course, been a very difficult period for the travel industry and the cruise industry with regard to the Israeli market. Is 2025 going to be a turning point for you?
First of all, yes. Already we are seeing the 25 and we haven't yet even finished our Q1, but 25 and 26 will be a turning point, bringing more Israelis going back to cruises. Demand for travel in general is very, very strong, as you know right now. Airlines and international carriers are coming back to Israel. People are eager to get out and to see the world again. People in Israel know the booking trends for many, many years. So happily, the average amount of booking window is 8 months and more. So that's why I can say that we are seeing the demand increasing week after week. And the fact that the Celebrity is part of an American company, and the security on those ships running by Israelis security, I think also manage and helping us to put extra confidence in our guests so they can feel right at home.
I read the other week that Celebrity were going to start in the river cruising market as well. How do you take the Celebrity brand that you apply to a ship with 3,500, 4,000 passengers and bring that to a smaller ship with 200 passengers?
The idea is to bring the experience, the ethos of Celebrity to the river cruising, as we are doing, for example, with Galapagos, with a different type of vessels and destination and experience, as we are doing on the regular ship. So we will do the same in the river cruise that will start in 2027. Booking will start in summer of 2025. Of course, the vessels will be smaller because those ships are going to be on European river. We will start with one vessel for around 150 guests. But the culinary aspect and other aspect that familiar with Celebrity on ships at sea will remain also on our river cruising.
Where can people get more details, both if they want to book Celebrity in Israel and for those people who are listening from further afield?
For our Israeli guests, and by the way, not just our Israeli guests, but for the guests, especially the ones that are speaking Hebrew or reading Hebrew, we are inviting everyone to book through our local website in Israel, celebritycruises.co.il. Sanorama is also, of course, selling our products through the entire travel agents community in Israel. And if you are, of course, outside of Israel, you can go to the international website on the same address of Celebrity Cruises with .com.
Udi Schnabel, CEO of Sanorama, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast, Travel Edition.
We are in the beautiful Italian city of Napoli.
We're in downtown Dubai.
We are at the Mountain Dew Synagogue in Baku.
We are in the magnificent city Krakow.
The Jerusalem Post podcast Travel Edition brings you the joys of travel and tourism. So why not subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts?
Benny and the Chips.
It's Jets. Benny and the Jets.
Benny and the Boats.
Never say Benny and the Boats. We've done that before.
We're actually about to get our world record holder onto the podcast because Ben, or as he's now called, Benjamin Boldin, has the most appearances after Mark and myself. We've met him sailing the seas of Europe with Royal Caribbean International, and he got a very snazzy job over in China.
Now he's called El Presidente, or whatever the Chinese is for El Presidente. He is the president of Royal Caribbean China, which pre-COVID was an enormous operation and is starting again to grow and grow and grow with the largest cruising market in the world. And to do that job, he's had to move to Shanghai. So the first thing we asked Ben was, what's life like in Shanghai?
Honestly, it's been fantastic. Shanghai is a really cosmopolitan and international city. It obviously attracts a huge number of tourists. It feels very much like the modern international city. It's incredibly clean, safe. The food choices are amazing. The number of places you can visit. We've been there 7 months and we've barely scratched the surface. And that's with very consciously trying to do different things each weekend, if you like. So from that point of view, it's been a great place to live. Obviously, I've inherited a new team. So I'm delighted to say I now lead a team of just over 200 people in the Shanghai office, which is very nice, overlooks the Bund area and the river. Everyone's been extremely welcoming. It's been a very friendly place to kind of arrive into, and everyone's made me feel very welcome. I've also been very impressed and very happy to be so gratefully received by the officials and the governmental authorities around the port of Baoshan, where our ship is based, but also the authorities in Shanghai, where they're so very passionate about growing this cruise industry and supporting Royal Caribbean as part of that. So it's been a great induction so far, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
We know from previous podcasting, Israelis love to cruise and our large audience in America love cruising. What about in China? How do Chinese people see cruising, and maybe not just China, but the wider Asian region?
Few people probably recognize this, but China and Royal Caribbean started its relationship in 2008, which of course is many years ago now. I think the cruise industry around 2017 and 18, Royal Caribbean had nearly 8 ships in China at one point. Cruising here got pretty popular pretty quickly. And of course the pandemic came, and that sort of brought an abrupt end to everything. And cruise has taken longer to return here. So we only returned as a brand in April last year. So we still haven't completed our first full calendar year in terms of our return to service. But I can tell you now, I think as a brand, we've got nearly 6 million fans here in China. We will carry well over 400,000 passengers this calendar year of 2025 on Spectrum of the Seas. Look, in a country with 1.4 billion people, there is plenty of interest in cruise, and I'm extremely excited about how we can grow the market and see it expand. We need to do so in a mindful way. We're not going to rush into it, but certainly it's been great to get Spectrum of the Seas back sailing, and we're delighted by the demand we've seen so far.
You're not actually in the office today. Where have we caught you?
You've caught me in stateroom 13148 of Spectrum of the Seas, which is the quiet place I'm trying to hide to get some meetings done today, albeit virtually. But yes, I'm on Spectrum of the Seas, and we've just left Kobe. So we were in Osaka yesterday afternoon, evening, into the early hours of the morning, and then we literally just shuffled around the bay, if you like, to Kobe, where our guests were off this morning from 6:30 this morning. They all boarded by 2:30 p.m. and now we're on our way to Yokohama, which for this cruise is obviously a gateway to Yokohama, but also a gateway for people to see Tokyo if they choose.
That's Japan. What about other destinations? Where do people from the area that you're now covering, where do they like to sail to?
Being really candid, the Chinese, 70 or 80% of them want to go to Japan. They cannot get enough of going to Japan. So understandably, our destinations are quite Japan heavy. We also go to South Korea and the island of Jeju, which is just off the coast of South Korea. But most of our deployment on our regular pattern features 2 or 3 Japanese ports and potentially one of our South Korean ports. We do have some sailings which enable us to go from Hong Kong. We do a winter in Hong Kong, which enables us to get up to Thailand, Vietnam and so forth. So we have a little bit of diversity over the winter season, but predominantly through the course of the year, we run programs to Japan and South Korea.
How would the onboard experience be different on Spectrum of the Seas? Is it adapted in any way for the Chinese market, or would it be the same as being on Odyssey of the Seas somewhere in Europe?
It's adapted, but not in a way that I think in any way, shape or form diminishes the experience for that international guest. So let me tell you a few ways in which it's adapted. So clearly our signage, we have signage in Chinese as well as in English. We make the announcements in Chinese as well as in English. I think the biggest changes are probably twofold. One is the dining options and the food we serve. So in the Windjammer, which as you'll know is our buffet or our main dining restaurant, you'll see a combination of classics from our global menu, but also you'll see some Chinese, Asian cuisine, which perhaps we only have here. Exactly the same in the Windjammer. We've added things like a noodle bar. You still have all the other international foods, but we have a noodle station. We have probably a broader selection of Chinese food than you might see, but we'll have slightly less Indian food, but we still have Indian food. We'll have slightly less burgers and chips because we don't need quite so many, but we still have them. So we flex the space and we flex the offer to make sure we provide the best food for our guests to meet their tastes and requirements. We also have 8 specialty restaurants on the ship, which is actually one of the largest in the fleet. Again, to demonstrate the kind of diversity of guests we have. The Chinese love their food. One interesting stat for you is that the Chinese guests will consume nearly 7 meals a day on average during a cruise. The Chinese like their food and they like to eat. So we have to have plenty of options to keep them entertained, and we do. Favourites across the brand, which we'll remember, Chops Grill, teppanyaki, Izumi Sushi. Here we have Hot Pot Restaurant. We have a Sichuan restaurant called Sichuan Red. We have a Wonderland concept that is a partnership with Dadong at the moment. So we've got lots of different fusion type restaurants that also meet the needs of our guests, as well as those kind of classic favourites. That's one area. The other area is entertainment. The Chinese guests love their entertainment. So we have a very rich schedule of shows in the theatre. And obviously this ship's blessed with a 270 lounge as well. So we have a wonderful show called Silk Road. And our guests love to see all the shows. So the shows are slightly shorter, enables us to make sure we do 2 showings each evening. So we've got a different programming, if you like, of entertainment. But really, those are the 2 big differences. One other slight difference is we have probably more retail on the ship than we have on some of the others. So the guests from China love to shop. And we've got some fantastic shopping for them on this ship as well.
While we do have some Chinese listeners, most of our listeners are either North America, Israel, obviously, and the English-speaking world. So far, we've given the impression that this is basically for Chinese people. But if somebody finds themselves in Shanghai and they are an English speaker, are they welcomed? How does it work for them?
My family came on here for Golden Week last October, which is a big Chinese national holiday. I said, what do you want to do? And they said, I want to go on the ship. So we came on the ship. They got off the ship and my wife said, that's the best cruise experience I've ever had. And of course, she's had the benefit of sailing on some of our terrific ships around the world. It makes no difference where you're from. The experience you get on board this ship will be a fantastic one. I think we have some of the best crew, not only here in China, but from across our Royal Caribbean family. It's a really well-run ship that receives really, really excellent NPS scores. And everyone is extremely welcoming. The Chinese are very friendly. Yes, there's a few quirks to kind of how they enter and exit an elevator, for example. But generally speaking, very welcoming, and the cruise works really well. The ships are so well designed that people find their way of navigating their vacation the way they want to have it. And we have some great facilities and great shows and entertainment here that really opens itself up for the international guests. And indeed, this sailing, we've got over 500 guests from the UK, over 100 guests from Ireland, and they're having an absolute whale of a time. And we've also brought in some additional pub entertainment, etc., because we know that audience likes to have a sing-song, they want to have a good atmosphere. We know who's coming, and we're able to flex as well around the guests that we have. So I'm really proud of how we do that, and we've got a terrific team here operationally.
Let's just expand beyond China for the last couple of minutes of our conversation. Talk to us a bit more about the latest ships within Royal Caribbean, Utopia, Icon of the Seas, new class of ship.
What you've seen from Royal Caribbean since we returned is just this incredible return to kind of innovation, growth and energy, fueled by new hardware from a ship perspective, but also the success of our private destination, Perfect Day, in Coco Cay in the Caribbean. We were very fortunate to be able to continue with our order book and to continue to kind of build these great ships. So, of course, we've had the first full year now of Icon. I think we've just had Icon's birthday. So Icon is now a year into service. And that was the first of the new Icon class, the biggest ship we've ever built, the biggest ship that exists today from a cruise ship perspective. And that has been an absolute home run of a product. 7-night itineraries, each one visiting Perfect Day at Coco Cay. It really is the ultimate family vacation. And of course, it's been a great success. And thankfully, we've got another one coming this year in Star of the Seas, which I think will come out in July, August time. That will further cement that class of ship, if you like. And then there's even a third one, which has just gone on sale. Early season for that will be in Barcelona, and that's going to be called Legend of the Seas. And of course, I know many of the Israeli guests like to hop over to Barcelona for a cruise, or indeed get over to the Caribbean. But all three of those ships really are a class apart now in terms of the design of that ship and the sheer breadth of facilities that they offer. It's amiss, though, not to mention Utopia. So Utopia was, I think, the 6th Oasis class ship. That came out last July, so I think this July will be kind of lapping a year of Utopia. The thing that's unique about Utopia is not only is she the 6th Oasis class ship, which of course means she's kind of the best of the previous 5, but she does 3 and 4 nights. It's the first time we've ever launched a new ship that's come straight into a 3-4 program. So she does 3-night, 4-night, and literally 6,000 guests enjoy Utopia every 3 or 4 days. And that's been, again, an incredible product, and again, visiting Perfect Day. We've been very blessed with some incredible new ship launches. I think what you're going to see is more excitement around Private Destination. We've already teased Perfect Day Mexico. We've also got a beach club coming in Nassau and potentially something in South Pacific coming down the line. So we've got this destination blended with these incredible ships, blended with this incredible experience on board, is really coming together. And it's really setting Royal Caribbean brand and group apart from some of our competitor set.
How do our listeners, be they in Israel, be they elsewhere, book a cruise with Royal Caribbean in Asia?
Same way as they book one anywhere else in the world. It's that simple. So I think you're obviously blessed to have a terrific partner, Sunarama, in Israel, and they are well equipped to book any of our itineraries. Or indeed, you can visit any of the Royal Caribbean global websites and find your way through, whether you're in the US booking from there, or whether you're in Israel booking from there, or indeed anywhere else. You can find our product there. We'd love to see some of your guests come and visit us in China, perhaps spend a few days in Shanghai before they board their cruise, because it's a wonderful city. But equally, come and see what Japan and South Korea have to offer, because again, 2 fantastic destinations as well.
Thank you as ever for appearing on our podcast. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I hope we'll see you at some point in the future.
Thank you very much for having me, and you are certainly both welcome to come and visit me anytime.
Discover the future with Inside Israeli Innovation. I'm Eve Young from the Jerusalem Post, bringing you exclusive insights from Israel's top innovators. Each week, we dive into the latest trends in tech, business, and beyond with interviews from the brightest minds in the industry. Whether it's cutting-edge startups or revolutionary tech breakthroughs, Inside Israeli Innovation is your front row seat to the startup nation. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform and stay ahead of the curve. Inside Israeli Innovation, where innovation meets inspiration.
I'm guessing, Mark, you're about to tell a story about when you were at a conference in England.
No, I think I'm telling a story about some aubergine soup that is repeating on me.
Mouldy aubergine soup.
Yeah, you definitely left out the word mouldy.
If you can have mouldy cheese and it's considered a delicacy, why not mouldy eggplant?
You're about to find out in about 10 seconds.
Back to that conference.
Have you ever thought of being a chef, David?
I just put some very nice Malbec into my mouth at the point that Mark made me giggle.
So you should be a sommelier then. All these are wonderful jobs that you could do on a ship.
Yeah.
A chef.
Oh, that's where you're going.
You see. A chef, a sommelier. You're not very entertaining, David. Otherwise, there'd be plenty of jobs in entertainment.
Could be a captain.
Actually, do they recruit captains?
I don't know. Well, we should tell you, this is actually a recorded interview, so I can already tell you, we didn't ask if they recruit captains.
I wonder if you can make it all the way from sommelier to captain, and do you have to give up drinking all that wine?
Mark had the pleasure of meeting a guy called Steve Weller.
At a conference.
In the UK.
Where they were playing a game that was... Is there an American version of Call My Bluff?
What's Call My Bluff?
It's where you define a word and loads of people have to guess which is the true definition.
Yes, I believe they do, but I don't remember what it was called.
So that's where I met Steve.
There you go. But Steve actually has a day job, so why don't we find out what Steve does when he's not playing Call My Bluff?
Jobs on the Ship is a recruitment and training company for the cruise and riverboat industry. I basically set it up because whilst I was working on board ships, I got bored of when I came home on my vacation, people saying, "That's a cool job. How do you get a job like that?" And I just said, well, you apply, off you go. And once I helped 1 or 2 people to do that application process, I thought, there might be something in this. What I remembered is, whilst my time on board, you know what it takes to work on board a ship. And all of my recruiters, and one of our things that I set the business up at is that all of our recruiters and frontline staff are all ex-crew, all worked on ships, been there, done that. And they can use that first-hand knowledge of what it's actually like and can help explain that, especially to people who are new to the industry. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what it's going to be like. And even those who are more experienced, there's a thing about looking someone in the eye, even if it's over a video recorded. A lot of the time, are they the people you want stood next to you when things are going wrong? Thankfully, on cruises, things go right more often than they don't. But the things that go wrong are when you really test people. We work with lots of companies all over the world. Companies like Norwegian Cruise Lines, Regent Seven Seas, Oceania, they're our biggest clients. We're doing a lot of work now with Effie in their jewelry stores and their retail shops. We do some work with Cunard. We do some work with Grand Circle Riverboat and lots of other riverboat companies that we've worked with over the years, and various others, as well as Villa V Residences. I fundamentally believe that if it's not the right time, right person, right place, sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's nobody's fault. You just try to get that balance right as best as we can.
Mark and I were just on a cruise on the Costa Smeralda. There were about 8,000 people on board. 2,500 of them were staff. It's just an incredible number of people on this small, it's a big ship, but still a small area in the sea. How does a cruise ship find all of those people, and where do you step in that process?
How do we find all those people? With great difficulty, hard work, and a lot of luck. I think it's really how we find a lot of people. And the thing you also have to remember, by the way, those 2,500 people that you talk about, it's not 2,500 people and done. That's 2,500 people on 6 to 8 month contracts. There's then a giant jigsaw puzzle, which used to in the old days be a big board at the back of an office. Now it's obviously all computerized. You've got people on 6 to 8 month contracts and on rotations, and they go on vacation for 2 to 3 months, but have to have a job to come back to. You want them to come back. And it's a massive, complex way of getting everybody on board and having the right amount of crew in the right places and where they need to be. It is a lot of searching. A lot of our candidates come to us through word of mouth, which is magnificent. Obviously, it's what any business wants. People who we've placed will say, we used this company called Jobs on a Ship and they were really good. They'll tell their friends when they go on board. But if you can imagine that just in the next 12 months or so, maybe slightly less, there's 15 new cruise ships coming to enter service. That's 20,000 new crew will be needed within the next 12 months across the industry. Where do we find people? We keep going out there. We're trying to do a lot of work with universities across the country, here in the UK and overseas. With this virtual world, people can be anywhere.
Because of all of the nationalities that are on board, it's like a mini United Nations. How do you find the balance of nationalities and languages on board a ship?
With great power comes great responsibility. I've always wanted to say that live somewhere. It's really difficult, but that's the same as when you put thousands and thousands of people from any walk of life into any situation. You get little groups. Some companies do it better than others. English is always the spoken language in general and the front of house on most ships. Not all, but most. Some speak German, but generally English is the spoken language. And some cruise lines will enforce that in crew areas as well to try to be inclusive. It's the one language everybody has to speak to work on board, and therefore, but it's very difficult to enforce because sometimes you'll get a group of people from the same country who want to sit and have lunch together, and therefore they're going to just chat to each other in their own language. Well, that's wonderful, unless there happens to be one person sat next to them who doesn't speak that language, and therefore it can be awkward. It's really difficult. Most people who work on ship are genuinely good people. They all just want to do their job and they know that they have to get on with people. They do naturally fall into cliques and groups, and that can be nationality based, which makes sense. If you're flying halfway around the world or from wherever to a ship, you don't know anybody if you're new to that ship or that company. The first thing you're probably going to do is find the people from your same country or your same area. You naturally have something in common with them. They help each other. But it can also be, people of similar age and similar gender sort of all come together. Every cruise ship will have something called a crew committee, which will be a representative from every department. And they try and have different nationalities, as many as possible, represented on that crew committee as well. And they'll get together on a regular basis and have a conversation about what events can we plan? Well, what's coming up? Is there an Independence Day for one of the countries coming up? Let's have a party. Or are there issues that some group of people are having? It's basically like running a small town or city. You're looking at nigh on 10,000 people on some of these ships, as you very rightly mentioned. If there's 365 days in a year and 2,000 crew, how often is it somebody's birthday? Every night is a Friday night and every morning is a Monday morning, basically.
It certainly is for us when David and I go cruising. It's always a Monday morning when we wake up very groggy and losing our voice. You talked about the life on board a little bit. Crew members have to be on board, like you say, for 6 months, 8 months. What's it like to live on board? And is it the same for someone that works in the kitchen and someone who is the lead performer in the main show?
I'm going to tell you overboard life on board is great. And of course, I'm going to tell you that would be a bit weird if I didn't. It is also really hard, especially in the beginning. And again, it's one thing we're very clear to people who join a new ship. It is highly likely when you start out, certainly at the lower levels, you're likely to share a cabin. First thing I tell people to pack is earplugs and an eye mask. It's just to help you get some sleep to start with. Just simply finding your way around a ship takes 3 or 4 weeks. Whilst all the beautiful corridors that you'll have gone through on a ship are all beautifully designed and ornate, and you can come up one deck and go, oh, I know where I am now because this has got this on it. It doesn't look like that in crew areas. Every crew corridor looks the same. They're all painted the same silver paint. And there's no useful map that says you are here in a crew areas. You just have to know where you are. So it takes time and it's very long hours. But once you're into the routine, it's an incredible life. You get to meet amazing people from all over the world. That's other crew and passengers. You get to see places that most people can only dream of. The ships will do everything they can to make it fun. They have, lots of parties and events. As the ships are getting bigger, those events are actually getting harder because no ship actually has a space for 2,500 people to attend an all-crew party. You just can't do it. So they have to do lots of little things. Even from back in the days I was working on board, ships all have a football team, which is a great morale builder. So they go ashore and they play against other ships or against local teams. It is great from a camaraderie point of view. You asked whether it's the same depending as to, if you're a chef starting out or the lead singer in a band. No, it's not. It's completely different. You have certain roles that have certain cabins, certain status. Some statuses are allowed to be around in the passenger areas and maybe even eat in some of the passenger areas. I'm not knocking the crew food, but it's not for everyone. Cooking en masse for 2,500 crew members who all want to eat at different times, where the vast majority of the crew are probably Asian, Filipino, Indian, that sort of heritage. And so the food is designed for the majority. Whereas when you get up through the ranks, yes, you do get more space. Sadly, some of the chefs, or not just the chefs, but some of the people at the lower levels may not actually see any of the passenger areas at all whilst they're working. They'll go from their cabin down a silver corridor, up a silver staircase, nip out into a galley, which is all silver. They won't see windows for a couple of days unless they go out actively. But it is incredibly enjoyable. The camaraderie and the fun and the team bonding and the people you'll meet. I know an awful lot of marriages that have come out of people meeting on ships.
What's the hardest job to recruit for? What's the hardest skill to find? And have you been asked to recruit something really strange?
Hardest job to recruit for? It's very simple. Chefs, chefs, chefs. It's always chefs. The world needs chefs. I don't know where they're all hiding, but chefs have always been a hard one to recruit, and that's absolutely around the world. Since COVID, the second behind that has been something we do quite a lot of, which is production technicians. So sound, light, production engineers, those sort of people. Many of them post-COVID, the West End and Broadway theatres realised they had a problem getting those people back into work after COVID. So offered them huge salary bumps to get them in. All of a sudden, working on a ship now isn't so attractive because you can earn even more money working in a West End theatre. That's starting to even itself out now, but those ones have always been very, very difficult, especially pastry chefs. If you know any, we can always place pastry chefs. Have I had any real curveballs? I do remember once we got a phone call at about 3:00 on a Friday afternoon saying, can you send us somebody for tomorrow morning? And I was like, okay, fine. What do you need? Told me what it was. And I said, right, well, if we find you someone, will you be in the office tomorrow morning to do the contract and book the flights? And they went, we'll call you back. And next thing I know, I'll get an email going, it can wait till Monday. So it's not that urgent after all, so it turns out. But everybody wants something yesterday, as in any business. And they want people with, 10 years of management experience, but are only 25. This is the recruitment world that any recruiter will live in. But obviously, we just try and be as realistic as we can with our clients.
So you've started telling stories. Time to give us the dirt. The worst candidate you've ever met, something like that?
There's always one that springs to mind, and it's a completely nonchalant one, but it still makes me chuckle. We had a candidate who wasn't right for something, so we sent them a very nice email and it said very standing, "Thank you for your application. We'll keep you on file should something come up." We've sent that email out, Lord knows how many thousands of times, and we do follow up. It is part of our process. An immediate response came back from this candidate saying, "F you, you're such an effing waste of time, effing this, don't bother calling me back." Okay, then, we won't. It's like, somebody just completely got the wrong end of the stick. I once interviewed a duo, and only half the duo turned up. It was meant to be a man and woman. Only half of them were there. It was a man who had no top on, so it was half undressed. He told me his partner, who was the other part of the duo, had something more important to do than the job interview that they'd applied for. "Thank you very much for your time, but we'll look elsewhere," kind of thing. It's like some people have to realise that we are...
Did you get a soloist out of it, though?
If he was dressed, he might have had half a chance.
If there's a pastry chef listening to this, or maybe a fully clothed solo artist looking for a partner, and they want to get on the high seas, how can they get hold of you?
Easy. Go to jobsonaship.com. All of the details are on there. jobsonaship.com. And one of our team will be more than happy to help you. Even if you've just got random questions, please feel free. Drop us an email. Our team will get back to you.
Steve Weller, thanks for coming on our podcast. And I believe my CV is still on file. Job on the ship, and I'm waiting to hear from you.
To talk the latest news in Israel, the Jewish world, and everything in between.
This is the J-Post Podcast. I'm Tamar Uriel-Beery, Deputy Editor-in-Chief of the Jerusalem Post.
And I'm Tzvika Klein, Editor-in-Chief of the Jerusalem Post.
And I'm Sarah Ben-Nun, Night Editor at the Jerusalem Post. Join us as we bring some of the most impactful voices to bring you into what it means to be Jewish, to be Israeli today.
Every week, we bring you with us into the newsroom in every sense.
Stop being so dramatic. This is just our coffee break.
You can find us every Thursday on jpost.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there.
Yalla, bye.
I bet I can remember.
I can't even function after that soup.
Oh,
it's really
stop
going
it.
through me.
I can remember the names of our guests, which is something I can never, ever do. So in reverse order, to Steve, to Ben or Benjamin, and to Udi, a very big thank you for making this a cruising special.
Big thanks to all of them. If you enjoyed this pod,
which you did,
give us a 5-star rating on your podcast provider, Spotify, Apple, Spreaker, or anywhere else where you listen to our fabulous podcast.
And as we said at the start of the pod, you can mail us, markdavidpod@gmail.com, and find us across social media. Try our YouTube, where you can subscribe at markdavidpod.
All our social media is, in fact, at markdavidpod.
Podtastic.
Quiz. What is Thomas Mapother IV better known as?
The Swedish chef on the Muppets.
No, it's cruise-related.
That's a Mission Impossible if ever I heard one.
Oh, I think you've got it. It is, in fact, Tom Cruise. I wonder if he's ever been on a cruise. You know they have, like, fairy godmothers.
All right.
I wonder if he's ever launched a ship. We should look that one up.
Maybe he just sort of scales up it doing his own stunt. Ladies and gentlemen, join us again in 2 weeks' time for the next edition of the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
Ship ahoy!